Hey, so what's going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and this is my PlayStation VR. Now, many other people might be getting them, thinking of getting one, or you might have one and you might be enjoying it, but there might be an issue you might be facing, which is drift, or I guess kind of moving off camera a bit. I call it drift, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, you might have experienced it, but you just don't know what I mean, and I'll explain it to you right now. So imagine right now I'm looking at these blinds, and this is the actual game. Now I am centered, I have everything ready to go, but after a few minutes, I start moving to the left. I start moving more, and it seems like no matter what I do to calibrate it, I can kind of bring it back over to the right, but I just keep drifting over to the point where my entire body has to shift to have it be comfortable in any sort of way, and then it just completely messes up your game. Many people have probably experienced this because it's been a bit of an issue. Well, I have a fix that should hopefully alleviate most of the issues you're having with this. You see, you might be thinking your PlayStation VR is actually defective, and it probably isn't. It's not the VR that's the fault. It's actually a fault of this thing right here, which is the PlayStation camera. Now, realistically, you probably have the camera mounted on your TV, something like this, and you're not crazy to be doing that because that's what Sony recommends, and that's actually what they advise. It seems like that should be the default thing. Well, if you have one of the newer cameras right here, these are actually not as stable as the older PlayStation cameras. You see, they are more flexible and you can move them up and down much easier. But I noticed that I was having issues kind of just drifting and all that, and it wasn't as stable. Now you might be thinking I have quite a stable environment. Well, your TV is still going to move a little bit, and I mean looking at modern TVs and their bezels and everything, they're not really designed to have something to clip on here and actually be reliable. So as I just mentioned, I said that the old PlayStation camera was better for at least mounting and all that, and you might be thinking, great, I don't want to buy a new old camera. You don't really have to. Here is something that you could do, although I'm going to demonstrate it with my old PlayStation camera. Now, as you can see, here's our PlayStation camera, and let's go ahead and check out the solution to our problem that we've been having, which what I did here was I ended up taking the camera and I mounted it onto the tripod itself. Now, I'm using a tripod because, well, I have like 4 tripods in my apartment. I had seen someone else on Reddit who did this the first few days the PlayStation VR were out, and he ended up doing something similar with a mic stand and a few spare zip ties. Now, I don't have a spare mic stand because I don't have a mic stand since I'm not a musician, but because of what I do here, I like to do camera work, and I've gone through a few tripods. I have like 4 tripods in my apartment. So you don't have to use a tripod, you don't have to use a mic stand. This is my recommendation on here, and this is what I did. However, you can get inventive and creative, and really you need something that will stay completely still and that will have a much better grip on, your ground and everything. I kind of checked this out too because of the HTC Vive, where it doesn't use a stationary camera, it ends up using some lighthouses, and normally you can end up mounting those on a wall or something similar, or you could put them on poles like this. But the issue, as I said, I was having was just I wasn't putting it on the TV properly. And even when I did, it wouldn't stay there that well. Now there's one extra thing I did, because the camera does not just stay on here by itself. Check this out. You can end up pulling off the camera and there's some Velcro underneath. And I'm going to show you what I used for these. Now I swear by these things right here, which are picture and frame hanging command branded strips. And really, they're quite easy to use. You can stick them on anything. They're quite versatile. And when you pull them off, as long as you pull them off properly, which is you end up holding this down and then you end up pulling this part back right here and you yank it off and just do it gently, you will not cause any damage to anything that you hang these on, because these are mainly designed for walls, but I've gotten creative and I've used them with several other things as well, such as this. Now, even what I did with the newer PlayStation camera was I end up putting one of these strips at the end of it right here, and as you can see, you can kind of just slap it on like that, if I can actually manage it. There we go, kind of hard to do one-handed, and it's looking all crooked, but you can kind of fix it up like that. So that's at least how I did it, and as long as everything stays stable, you can get it to work. I mean, you could try to hang it directly underneath the camera, but the camera's also curved, and you're putting it on a flat surface, so your mileage may vary on that. But the nice thing is on here is now, if you ever need to move the camera, you can actually just end up using the tripod itself like so, and just move it around quite easily. So you can move it up if you want to, stand up on a game, or you can move it down if you want to sit down to play a game. Now, of course, when you do this, you are going to need to recalibrate everything, so I'm actually going to put a link down below in the description, and somewhere maybe on video here, of a previous video I did where I was showing at least, how to calibrate the system, how to reduce blur on the PSVR as well, and also how to clean it, because you just have to go through all those steps since you're setting this all up again. Now, finally, this is the other issue you might run into into. Look at this. This is kind of just in the middle of my TV. It doesn't look nearly as nice as it was mounted on top, so if you have a family room or if you want to check out your TV, this might be a bit of an issue. Well, at least now you have some mobility here so you could move the camera around, but if you're setting this up, this at least what I'm going to do, you know, when I have more people over and all that, and if people are trying to check out the PlayStation VR and all that stuff, what I'd recommend doing is having your TV right here. You're not really going to care about that screen, honestly, unless you're spectating, but if you're playing, you're really not going to care about the TV or the monitor you're hooking it up to, and you can go ahead and take your tripod or whatever you're using and just move it over to the side and set up everything to go this way, or do something else that's similar, because you really don't need the TV directly there. You don't need to be centering this around the TV. This just needs a play space. You need a proper play space, and you're going to need, you know, just everything set up and calibrated properly, but you don't have to have a reliance on the TV if you're using PlayStation VR. Now, at least for me, this fix, after I tried it, I mainly tested Until Dawn Rush of Blood, and it instantly fixed up the drift issues I was having. So, as I said, you know, you could use any type of tripod. They're less than $10. If you have a mic stand, you could use that, or you could use something else that is at least stable and can, you know, stand on its own like this. As for these right here, I will also have a link down below in the description where you can check these out and end up purchasing any if you need them, because I use these for my wall scrolls and other picture frames and all that stuff, and they work wonders. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone, and if this video helped you out and you enjoyed it, a like would be appreciated. If you absolutely hated it and you're still getting drift, or I don't know, maybe you just like the drift, you can dislike it as well too. But also, if you have any other recommendations for something to put this on, let us know, because let's try and get creative here and figure out something, because there might be better methods or there might be even cheaper methods than this.